The DOJ is investigating the Muslim epic city. It's May 9th, 2025, and these are your headlines. Well, Senator John Cornyn says that the U.S. Department of Justice has launched a federal investigation into the East Plano Islamic Center, EPIC, and its proposed 402-acre Muslim development, Epic City, in Josephine, Texas. The move comes after Senator Cornyn sent a letter last month to Attorney General Pam Bondi and Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights Harmeet Dillon, urging federal authorities to review the project amid concerns about religious discrimination, the potential application of Sharia law, and possible violations of federal law. The federal investigation comes as the state of Texas, under Governor Greg Abbott, is already conducting a sweeping multi-agency probe into EPIC's operations. The project, which is centered around a mosque, Islamic school, and residential community, has been the subject of investigations related to unlicensed construction, funeral services, housing discrimination, and financial compliance. Separately, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has also been investigating EPIC for potential violations of the Texas Deceptive Trade Practices Act and has issued civil investigative demands to EPIC's development arm, Community Capital Partners, as well as document requests to local cities and school districts. Governor Abbott, meanwhile, has maintained that Sharia law is not recognized in Texas and that any development operating outside of Texas and U.S. law will be held accountable. The Texas House has passed Senate Bill 17, aimed at restricting land purchases by foreign adversaries. While protecting Texas land is a legislative priority of the Texas GOP, some activists have taken issue with the legislation as passed out of the Senate earlier this year for not being strong enough. While a series of amendments passed last night aimed to strengthen the bill, some say another amendment could have had the effect of gutting it should it end up in the final version. Carried in the House by Representative Cole Hefner, the bill prohibits foreign governments and entities like China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea from acquiring real estate in Texas. It also includes provisions to allow the Attorney General to investigate violations and initiate divestment actions. Early on, members adopted a controversial amendment by Representative Matt Shaheen that narrowed the scope of who is actually banned from purchasing land. Specified that individuals from designated countries are only restricted if they're not lawfully present and residing in the United States at the time of the transaction, opening the door for citizens of some adversarial nations to purchase land while in the country on student or work visas. Another sticking point for conservatives was the bill's exemption for leasehold interests of up to 99 years. Provision, many argue, allows foreign entities to effectively gain control of land without technically owning it. But that was fixed. An amendment by Representative Mitch Little and Steve Toth lowered the length of the eligible leases to just 1 year. State Representative Nate Schatzline successfully added an amendment to allow the governor to designate additional countries or terrorist groups for inclusion on the banned list, expanding the state's authority beyond just federal intelligence designations. And Representative Brent Money, meanwhile, added an amendment to restore criminal and civil penalties for those violating the law. The Senate must now decide whether to accept the House changes or to negotiate a final version in conference.
Real Texan.
I hope you'll sit down with Texas Scorecard every Sunday as we visit with real Texans who are doing real things to make the Lone Star State shine even brighter. We're going to be talking to activists and politicians, but we're also going to be talking with men and women who are shaping business in Texas and driving for a better culture.
Though never before successfully invoked, Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution allows 2/3 of states to convene a convention of states to propose constitutional amendments. And Texas has now renewed its call for that effort. In a 17-14 vote, the Texas Senate approved House Joint Resolution 98, renewing the state's request for an Article 5 convention. Authored by Representative Cody Vasut, carried in the Senate by Senator Brian Birdwell, the resolution seeks to propose amendments that would impose fiscal restraints on the federal government, limit its power and jurisdiction, and establish term limits for federal officials and members of Congress. Texas originally made a similar application back in 2017, but that resolution had an expiration date after 8 years. This version effectively renews Texas's application indefinitely and reaffirms its support for the broader Convention of States movement. Texas is one of 19 states that have passed similar resolutions. 34 are needed to call a convention. For more of today's stories, go to texasscorecard.com.